All right. Welcome, student artists. We're super lucky to have an interview today with Colleen O'Connell. She's going to be able to show us a little bit of her studio and share a little bit of her practice with us. So Molly, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Miss Bancroft?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
So when did you start making art?
I don't remember a time I didn't make art. I was trying to think about it, or I've thought about it before. I just don't remember not ever. I was the youngest of a big family. I had six older siblings, and I was kind of quiet. And so I just found that I could just draw and like go into my own world and not have to like talk. And so I think I just started making art really young. And I had the artistic grandparents, and so I was like inspired by them too, and like their house.
What sort of materials do you use? I know that you do a lot of sculpture and printmaking, and not to do any spoilers, but you do a lot of stuff. Can you share a little bit of it with us?
Yeah, it depends what kind of work I'm doing. I make, like you mentioned, I make work in a lot of mediums. So I use a lot of paint, but I use different paint for different projects. Like I have a comics studio, like a studio where I just work on comics. And I use a lot of gouache. This is my sort of organized gouache. I also use a lot of ink and watercolor. And the main thing is just black ink for drawing. But then when I make more sculptural stuff, I use a lot of like paper pulp and plaster. I love paper mache. I do a lot of paper mache because it's so cheap. You can just add glue to water and like cut up newspapers and build stuff. Yeah, I like materials that are really accessible and, frugal.
Excellent. Would you mind showing us some of your artwork?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, I'm in my drawing studio, and I've been working on a comic for a while now. It's a story called Shriekers. Can you see? Is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is my drawing table. It's really great because it's clear glass, so I can turn on these lights behind it, and if I need to trace a drawing or a sketch, I can use the light table to trace. And yeah, I've been working on this book. I've been drawing and redrawing pages for like over a year now, which is kind of embarrassing. But I'm trying to like figure out the final layout. So this is a lot of the drawings I've done, or some of the like ideas for drawings. And right now I'm figuring out like what pages look or work next to each other. But yeah, that's what I'm working on in here mostly. And then when I take you guys to the garage, I'll show some more of the like sculpture work that I'm doing.
What's a day like for you in the studio?
It depends. Like sometimes if I have a deadline, I work, specifically, like if I have, I do a lot of book fairs, and sometimes I have art shows. And so if I have a deadline coming up, I'll work pretty intensely on like one thing. But in my own like enjoyable, like a studio day, with no like specific things on the horizon, I really like the reason why I work in a lot of mediums is I really enjoy like doing different things. Like I can sometimes get a little bit bored. So I will actually almost like an obstacle course. I'll work on like a little bit of different things all in one day. So I'll like do some drawing in the morning, and then, you know, do some airbrushing and then work on a sculpture. Because also a lot of stuff I do needs time to dry, or you need, you know, you have to give time in between things. So it also helps me to like not overwork something. Like I'll, you know, take a step back to do something else and come back later with like fresh eyes.
So we keep sketchbooks in the Studer art room. I was wondering if you, as an artist, keep a sketchbook, or what that is like for you.
Yeah, I always have at least a few sketchbooks at one time for different things. Like right now I have, this was a sketchbook where I was doing like daily diary comics, just like at the end of the day to kind of like process what happened. No pressure, like just quick sort of style. But some of my sketchbooks are a lot more about writing and taking notes. Some of it's like for the classes I teach, and some of it's like, you know, doing research and stuff. Some of it's sketches for, I'll show you, these are sketches for like a sculpture, like installation I'm working on. And I'll have some that are smaller sizes so that I can take them on public transportation, or you can like sneakily draw without people, you know, seeing you. But I tend to draw much bigger normally, so sometimes I have bigger sketchbooks for like bigger stuff. So this is 4 that are in play currently.
Wow, that's so cool. So sketchbooks are definitely a big part of your practice.
Yeah, when I take it to the garage, I have like a box of sketchbooks. I keep them always, no matter how embarrassing they are. So I've been keeping sketchbooks now since, well, unfortunately, I lost a lot of artwork from when I was a kid up through like high school. I lost like all of my artwork through like junior or senior year of high school because of just like hurricane, humidity, just like all of my artwork is in the garage in like one container that just like got ruined. So I think now I kind of obsessively keep things. Maybe some things I shouldn't. And so yeah, I keep all of my sketchbooks in together in a garage, which maybe is not a good idea, but I take care of the garage.
Let's go to the garage.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and just this is the two table setup, and I always keep a lot of like books and reference nearby. This is actually the library for our house, so that's why it's like a lot of books, but it's nice to have them close by when you're drawing or need an idea. Here's my cat. Okay. Running outside. That's Chris. This is the garage. We moved here pretty recently, so it's still being sort of set up. And it's also actually our garage, so we have like bikes and stuff in here. But in here, I work on like bigger, messier stuff. So this is a pig TV that I've been working on. Made out of like sculpted mold and wire, and I'm gonna repaint it. I painted it once, but it was too flat. I wanted to make it more full, so I've been like adding more volume to it. Here's the pig cord tail, and then I made the hoof feet, and this is gonna be another pig TV, but this is like early stages, so it's still just, it's actually fanoodles and cardboard and paper mache and some foam. Yeah, these are some older sculptures. This guy got a little beat up because he went on tour with me. So he got a little messed up. But I know, he was typing too hard and then it collapsed. And here's another, these are my trolls. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was telling you about the box of sketchbooks. That's over here. So this is just full of old sketchbooks from like many years. And if you're able to keep sketchbooks, I highly recommend it, because sometimes you'll look at an old sketchbook and realize like, oh, I was really obsessed with that like weird idea years ago, and for some reason I'm like still drawing it or thinking about it. Yeah. Oh, I also airbrush t-shirts. This is like, it's a fun drawing practice, because drawing with an airbrush is different than drawing with like a pen. It's kind of like a weird, fun way to be really loose. So I make those to sell at shows, or when all the shows are canceled, online.
One
Yeah.
question I have is, we talk a lot about mistakes in the student art class, and we kind of have, it's hard to learn for kids, and I think even for adults, that like mistakes are good and part of the practice. How do you think about mistakes when you're making your own artwork?
I really embrace mistakes. It also kind of depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes in comics, mistakes, because you're trying to be sort of legible, like sometimes a mistake is something simple, like that you can white out. But also I redraw things a lot. Like if I didn't quite get it right the first time, I just see it as like part of the drawing, is like all of the different iterations. But I also a lot of times just embrace mistakes and try to like use them as, you know, problem solving trials or whatever. So if something, you know, goes not quite right, I just try to think, oh, how can I like reconfigure this? Or sometimes it can make it actually more interesting. Like things that are perfect tend to not be that interesting to me. Like, you know, a perfect drawing or a perfect like representation of something doesn't always have a lot of life to it, but sometimes things that have mistake or, you know, are a little off or a little strange, are really kind of exciting, because it's like a different view of you know, the world or of what you're making. That's why I teach art to kids, and well, and of all ages, but I totally agree with younger kids. Sometimes there's a hurdle of wanting, you know, something to be perfect, or it has to really look like what it is. But also I think kids have this hand or this ability to make things that are so unique that like an adult couldn't even like attempt to do, and it just comes so naturally to them. And I think once they embrace that the goal is just to make something that's exciting and full of life, then it kind of makes the work really fun and different, you know?
Yeah, good answer. Do you think you have any advice for young artists who are starting out, trying to be an artist or get better at art?
I always have had this like, you know, just seeing a sampling of my studio, you see I do a lot of different stuff. I've always like been interested and just follow the interest, right? Even if I'm not like great at something, or like not, you know, a technically skilled sculptor or something like that, I just do it because it's exciting and fun, and I like to try stuff that I'm not perfect at. I guess it's an extension of the last answer a little bit, and I think that's why I still am interested in things. So I'm always trying something that I don't know how to do. And I think if you're interested in something, if you're excited about something, just follow that, because then, you know, it'll come out in the work. Just being like engaged in some way. But yeah, I remember, this is kind of goofy, but I remember an art teacher once said to a class when I wasn't there, like, this, you can cut this out. But he said to a class, like, you know, you just got to try. Like Molly, she's not really good at any of these materials, but she tries them all, and that's admirable. And a friend told me that at first I remember being a kid and being like, oh, he doesn't think I'm like good at these things. But then as I grew up, I realized like that always kind of haunted me, and I realized like, oh, he meant like it's exciting that she just like I just like kept like not limiting myself. And I think, you know, in some ways you're the same kind of artist you were as a little kid. You'll always kind of be that artist in some ways. So I don't know, I think just don't question what you're excited about and keep doing it.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's really hard, I think, for young artists to not like judge their practice and judge how good or bad they are at something. And I think that's, yeah, following their interest is a really good piece of advice.
Yeah, because at the very least, it's like exciting to you. And I think that makes other people excited about it because they can tell you're like passionate about it, you know?
Yeah, totally. And it's like that, you know, it's the ideas. It's not always necessarily like perfection or the material. It's like you're following your ideas and your interests, and that comes through, I think, in artwork.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also sometimes you don't know why you are excited about something. You're like, I don't know why. I like keep drawing witches and watermelons, and it's weird, but I can't help it. And that's all it is necessary in some ways. It's just like you're obsessed. You got to follow your obsessions in a way.
Totally.
Okay.
Love that. All right, Molly. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I hope you guys are, you know, safe and healthy and keep making art during quarantine, you know?
Totally. Thank you.
Bye, Miss Bancroft.